Hi, I'm Tim Clark with Gasville, USA. Today we're going to take a look at this beautiful 1967 Chevelle SS 396. It is a 138 code VIN Chevelle, meaning it is a real SS. It has the numbers matching EF code 396 engine. Now just a little bit of information on the three choices for 396 that year. You had the 325 horse, then you had the 350 horse, like this one with the hydraulic lifters, and then the top of the line was a 375 horse engine. Now the 375 horse engine did have solid lifters which required frequent valve lash adjustments. So I really like the higher horsepower 350 horse with the hydraulic lifters. It does have the matching engine unit number or matching engine VIN, which I mentioned. Now in 1967, this matching VIN could be in several different locations. Fortunately, this one is right in the front of the engine, right next to the engine suffix code, so it's very easy to read and compare the engine unit number or the engine VIN with the body VIN. Now when I make reference to a numbers matching car, I'm referring to the engine block unit number or engine VIN matching the body VIN. Now obviously, as you can see, other external components have been changed and upgraded, including the stock exhaust manifolds have been upgraded to the ceramic coated headers. The stock Rochester Quadrajet has been upgraded to the fast fuel technology carburetor. The stock valve covers have been upgraded to the Mickey Thompson valve covers. And the air cleaner has been changed, and the old points type distributor has been upgraded to the HEI ignition. Actually, there's a large folder full of receipts of the restoration and engine build that goes with the car. Now this is a factory 4-speed car with power steering and power brakes. Also, during the restoration, there was a few upgrades made, including the 4-wheel disc brakes, which really enhances the brake. Another item that I really like is what's called the blinker tack. Now the previous year, 1966, Chevrolet hung the tack from the dash, and it got the nickname of a knee knocker tack because yes, you would knock your knee on it while driving. So they corrected this in 1967 and they hung it from the top of the dash. But they hung it right in front of the turn signal indicator light, the left turn signal indicator light. So what they did is they incorporated the left turn signal indicator light right inside the tack. Of course it works great, and I just think it's really cool. Anyway, this is a beautiful 67 Chevelle, and we're going to take an extensive look at it. We're going to start by doing a walk around and take a look at this beautiful paint finish. Then we're going to start the front and work back. We're going to take a look at the engine compartment, then the interior. Then we're going to take a look at the trunk. And then we're going to put the car up in the air and inspect the under chassis. After that, we're going to finish off by doing a test drive. So with that, let's get started.
911, what's your emergency?
Headlights, high beam, off, left, right, off, headlights, off, brakes, off, left, right, off, reverse. Let's take a look at the doors, the door locks, window regulators, and the wing windows. You're going to notice that the doors, they just snap shut. There's no excessive slamming, no excessive pressure. They just snap shut. The door locks work great. All of the gaskets and felts are brand new, even on the wing windows. Again, the doors just snap shut. Door locks work great. So let's go ahead and take a look at this dash and instrument panel. I'll be using my little laser pointer to point things out. Starting on the left, you have your headlight switch. So headlights work great, the dash lights work great, and you'll notice that the high beam indicator light works great as well. Then you have your windshield wiper and washer switch. I'm going to turn the key on so I can demonstrate this. This is a little bit of an upgrade. Unlike the stock standard 2-speed wiper motor that would have been originally put on this car, there has been an expensive upgrade done, and there's multiple time delay options for the wipers. In other words, like a delay wiper or a pause on a newer car. So I will go ahead and demonstrate that. So of course now it's off, and we'll go ahead and turn it on, and it'll cycle a time or two. Then there'll be a long pause because this is the longest pause right here. Then you can go up one notch, it'll cycle once, or twice I guess, or 3 times, or 4 times. Then we'll move up one. Then we'll go up another one. Here's low. And of course high. And off. So, of course, I guess a normal person's not going to go out purposely drive this car in the rain, but if you do get caught in the rain or a really light mist, there's nothing more annoying than having to manually on and off, and then on and off, and on and off. This takes care of that issue. You can just set your delay and you're good. So, right over here is your cigarette lighter and then your ignition switch. So here's the tilt steering, which I really like. Very nice for comfort driving. And then we're going to talk about this blinker tack right over here. So the switch is on. Go ahead and turn the turn signal on, and you'll notice that the turn signal indicator light right inside the dash, or right inside the tack, excuse me, is flashing very nicely. And while we're at it, we'll just go ahead and show the right one as well. The gas gauge works great. Right now it's got about a half a tank of gas. And then you got the battery gauge. And then right over here is the engine coolant temperature and the oil pressure gauge. The original radio does power up. I was unable to get a station in, but it did power up nice. And then you've got your heater controls, and then an aftermarket battery gauge, or volt gauge I should say. And right down here below the dash, underneath the dash, is a real nice Memphis stereo controller. And what I've done is I have actually plugged my phone into it. I've got Sirius on my phone, and so I can just plug that into my phone and listen to Sirius while I'm cruising. Works great.
Everybody tells me I'm wrong to want you so badly.
The amplifier is actually hidden in the trunk. Then there's 2 hidden speakers up underneath the dash, and then there's 2 in the package tray in the back. So moving down, right down here is the quartz clock, and it's very nice. And something I forgot to mention earlier on the speedometer. Now the odometer reading is actually 1,095 miles. I did some test driving today. So the odometer is 1,095. I was looking through all the receipts for the car restoration, and I noticed that the gauges and the speedometer were changed, bought new, when the restoration happened. There's receipts for those. So I'm just assuming that there's 1,095 miles on the restoration. One other thing right here is that's the emergency brake indicator light, which you can tell that works great. And that pretty much takes care of the dash and the instrument panel. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the under chassis of the 67 Chevelle SS 396. Again, I'll be using my little laser pointer to point a few things out. While looking earlier, I noticed that all the body bushings have been replaced. So it does appear as though it has been a frame-off restoration. Actually, if I recall, I think I saw a receipt for the frame, which was sandblasted and repainted. Here again is another body bushing that looks new. Of course, then you get into the 12-bolt rear end, and I have not calculated the exact gear ratio. The previous owner told me it was a 411, and while I was doing the test drive at 60 miles an hour on the speedometer, the tachometer was at 3,000 RPM. You'll notice that the back does have disc brakes. I'll get another shot of that right in here. Here's the rear brake disc calipers, gas shocks, and the coil springs appear to be new as well. Here's the insulators. I don't know if you can see, but right up in there is another body bushing that does look to be new. The floor pans are in excellent condition. I looked at the bolt pattern and reverse shaft linkage, and it certainly does appear to be a Muncie transmission. I do not know if it's an M20 or 21 or 22. Now, I'll tell you, the whine that it makes does sound like a 22, but I guess a person really wouldn't know for sure unless they disassembled it and actually looked at the gears. But it certainly does appear to be a Muncie transmission. Of course, it does have the front disc brakes as well. All the front suspension is also new, including the steering and the brakes. Very nice clean under chassis, and I just don't see any issues anywhere. Fuel line appears to be new. Brake lines appear to be new. It's got the emergency brake cables. Just a really, really nice build. Well, for several days I've been looking forward to doing this test drive. I'm really excited about it. So with that, let's just go ahead and get started. Well, I tell you, I just had a lot of fun on this test drive. Altogether, I've driven the car a little over 100 miles and the car just performs beautifully. Engine, transmission, rear end, steering, brakes, electrical, gauges. I enjoyed the stereo. I was using my Sirius app on my phone, and that was really nice, feeding it through the stereo system. I did notice a couple of times a little bit of a tire rub in the back, and yes, the rear tires are unusually wide. I do have a set of very appropriate and beautiful rally rims and tires. I believe the tires, 2 of them are brand new, the other 2 are just like new. That would look very appropriate on this car. Actually, it would look very original. And those are just a little bit narrower. So anyway, I appreciate you watching the video, and check out more at GasvilleUSA.com. Here is a large package of restoration receipts that came with the car when I bought it, and of course they'll go to the next owner when I sell it. Before I get into a few of them, I just wanted to let you know the little bit of history of the restoration that I'm aware of. I was told that the restoration began by a gentleman in Iowa who spent several years restoring it as a high-end project. And before he was able to finish the project, it became necessary for him to sell it. Then comes the next owner, a gentleman from Mountain Home, Arkansas, who finished the project, enjoyed it a few years, and then he was ready for a DZ302 Camaro and put it up for sale, and I bought it from that gentleman. So the receipts that I have certainly seem to support that. The project was started in Iowa and finished in Arkansas. I also mentioned in an earlier video that I thought that I'd found a receipt for a new speedometer, which might possibly be a clue as to the number of miles on the restoration. Now, this is just a possibility, and I cannot guarantee it at all. But this is dated in 2016, and there is a receipt that includes removed dash, replaced speedometer, and all bulbs. And over here there is a line item for the speedometer, $278. Again, this is a receipt from the gentleman in Arkansas in 2016. Previous to that, the gentleman in Iowa has a lot of receipts, and including the engine build. And so here is from the Cedar Rapids, Iowa, dated 2007, just one of many receipts as far as the engine build. And here we have some parts, competition cam and lifter kit with the part numbers, and the roller rockers, oil pump, a lot of machine work done, a lot of labor, pistons, piston rings, rod bearings, gaskets, etc., etc., etc. So this is the engine build in 2007. Here's a receipt for the Hurst Competition Plus shifter. And what do we have here? This is, for the carburetor. This might possibly be for the Fast Fuel Technology carburetor. There is a part number on here a person could research if they wanted. And more parts receipts. And here looks like the transmission rebuild and clutch, etc. And again, more engine parts. And this looks like front and rear suspension and possibly steering. I also mentioned this in an earlier video. that I'm led to believe that this car is a frame-off restoration. I don't actually have a document exactly saying that, but the body bushings do look new, and there is a receipt here from 2005 that says sandblast and paint, Chevelle chassis, and miscellaneous parts. So if that's the case, I'm assuming the body was off the frame when that happened. And a receipt for the BF Goodrich tires. Here's a receipt for the tilt steering column. Then there's lots and lots of automotive paint shop receipts. I also mentioned earlier in a video about the delay wipers, and so I found a receipt for that. It's from Summit Racing, a wiper kit, $525, and I'm assuming that is for this Detroit Speed delay wiper kit. This is the instruction or installation manual. And also I mentioned that the car has rear disc brakes, and here is the installation instructions for that. And there's lots and lots and lots and lots more receipts to go through. Of course, they all go with a car. I just really like paperwork and receipts. That way, if you would need a little piece of information, you have a source to find it.